All right, you made it to our holiday gift guide. This is a good one. There's a lot of gifts in this one. So enjoy. Let me know in the comments if you have any great gifts and what you think. Watch and or listen while we tackle tough and sometimes taboo topics filmed live over drinks. This platform allows us to articulate our thoughts and challenge our beliefs. This is SipTalk. Grab a drink and enjoy. We are live. Welcome to SipTalk episode 262. My name is Justin DiGiulio, joined by James, the Bosnianer Boswell, philosopher, philanthropist, philanderer, philatelist, phlebotomist, man of many PHs.
Philharmonic.
He's a member of the Philharmonic. He's drinking a Calle Ocho. Am I correct on that? Calle Mocho. Mocho?
No. That's actually a very good guess. But no, this is gin and cran.
Oh, okay.
And in case I run out of that, I got a tall diet bourbon.
All right. Well, I'm going to hit the Canadian Club in a little bit. Well, you can't see it, but maybe that'll be our sponsor for the year 2025. In the meantime, I'm going to drink some light beer until we get deep into probably the price of some of the gifts we have today. Today is our holiday episode. We are discussing holiday gifts for the year 2024. We have a pretty extensive list. Some of these things,
your favorite episode of the year.
I think it really is. Last year, we didn't do as good of a job as we should have. This year, we probably could have done a better job, but we have some cool stuff on the list. Some of the stuff, questionable. Make sure you stick around so you catch the bar trivia answer to last week's question. We have a new question coming up this week. And don't forget to visit SipTalkPodcast.com, where you can watch or listen to the most recent episode, and you buy us a drink. And even better, you can see the list, the holiday gift guide list. Every gift, except for one of them, has a URL that you can click to buy it or check it out. I don't think we have anything that's crazy expensive this year. Sometimes we have a couple of luxury goods.
We absolutely do. There are two picks that I have that I put out there just because they look really cool, but they're utterly unrealistic.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you for coming to our podcast. If you're watching us live on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, we can read your comments real time. If you're watching us on Instagram or TikTok, it's going to be tougher for us to see your comments. My advice would be to switch over to YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. But don't forget to subscribe. We love having you guys on. If you have some good gifts for the year 2024, or if you just if you got something cool this year and you just want to share some cool shit that you got, which is pretty much how I put together my list, shout it out. Let us know in the comments something cool that you got. Where do we go from here?
Well, I would say like last week we had some really good engagement. It was a fun topic, and I think at some point in the future we need to revisit it in more depth because like the developments from the last week in terms of like the guy getting arrested and it's still a really interesting story. And
we may touch on that with one of your gifts here, but but we're not going to do a political podcast. We're not going to do a political podcast episode for at least a half dozen episodes. We've covered way too many politics, being an election year, so we'll lay off on those.
Yeah, we'll stay away from it for today. But I just want to say that like we had good engagement last week, and I'd like to revisit that topic because it's something that people care about.
So I suppose, without further ado, actually, let me just comment because we got some kind of trash talking that's going on, and we were having this conversation 30 seconds before we went on air about our backgrounds. And I said I think that each of our backgrounds speaks very well to our character. The fact that I have what I would consider a somewhat curated background with law books that I've never fucking read that don't mean anything. They just look cool on the shelf. And you're talking about having your dorm room.
I guess the most prominent feature is that big cardboard box, which contains a whole bunch of posters and stuff that I've collected over the years, and I've kind of gone back and forth as to whether I want to put them up in my room and make it look even more like a dorm room. But like my whole thing is my room is relatively clean, but I don't want like anybody that comes into my room, I don't want it to shout like I'm just like some stuck-up adult. I don't want. I am much happier like embracing like more or less a college identity.
Well, listen, I think the idea for you, like personality-wise, of throwing a bunch of books that like nobody will ever read just for the sake of them looking important, which these are just law books. I'm never going to read them. I'm not into law. To you, that seems silly.
Yeah, I'm not gonna buy if I'm buying a book, it's because I want to read it. And if after I'm done reading it, I'll put it on a bookshelf and then someone say, "Hey, did you read that book?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is what it's about." And like for example, I have a bookshelf in here and
Uh,
you guys can see,
You get the full view of the office, bedroom, den.
but
Uh,
pretty much everything on that bookshelf, there's some DVDs and games on there too, but like every DVD I've watched, every game I've played, and every book on there I've probably read.
so point is, stop talking shit. This is by choice. This is a curated bedroom. This is what he wants. I have a bunch. So people that give James a hard time, not giving me a hard time about the background. I literally have a bunch of books that I will
Well,
never read.
it's all about aesthetic choices. And I was telling you this before we got on the air is like I reject a lot of the trappings of adulthood because I think by and large being an adult sucks. Like when you're a kid you're like I can't wait to be an adult. And then when you become an adult you're like what was I thinking, man? Like
I like being an adult.
I
I
like
like the
being able to
freedom that
make
comes
my
with.
own choices and not having anybody who can really tell me what to do outside of like professional spaces. But apart from that, like the whole not having any responsibility or real consequences to your actions as a child, that's a huge loss.
All right, let's get into the gift guide. Just one note because it hit me. And I didn't want to lose it. You said if anybody comes in, I will tell you as an adult, very few people come into my bedroom. So,
I can tell you as an adult, very few people come into my
yeah,
bedroom.
all right. So look, we get some cool gifts. A couple duplicates this week, but only because this year, a couple duplicates only because they're good gifts, and some of them, if you the first gift we're going to mention, if you used it over the last year and you liked it, why not? Why not get
Yeah.
another one?
I, I
Also, you can give them to different people, by the
yeah,
way.
I put a couple duplicates on here like knowingly. I was like, yeah, I know this is a duplicate, but like it's still a good gift.
All right, so we're going to alternate James ones and my ones. I think we'll each read our own, but go ahead. Yours is first here. And
All
don't
right.
forget, visit siptalkpodcast.com. You can watch and view the list live with us.
All right. First one, scorned woman hot sauce.
Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, like painful 10, how hot is it?
Well, you're asking the wrong person because my
Well,
scale is different from
you,
most.
you and I.
7 or an 8.
Okay, and then flavor scale 1 to 10.
In terms of like how intense is the flavor or like
No,
how
like, is
good
it
is the
like
flavor?
there's the one that I like that's Endorphin Rush is very hot, probably an 8, but it's tamarind flavor and it's got a little sweetness. It's fucking phenomenal. I could eat it with a spoon and then just suffer the consequences afterwards.
So yeah, like again, scorned woman, like a 7 or an 8 in terms of like its flavor. It's really sour, not sour where like you pucker your face, but like it's got lemon juice
Vinegar.
extract in it, so it's
Okay.
got like this really bright sour aspect to it, and it's peppery because they've got peppers in it, and then it's just very hot. But
All right.
I love it. It's phenomenal on like subs.
I there's some hot sauce that I literally will put on a salad, like no dressing, and just throw the hot sauce in the salad. But it depending on how if it's like a 6 or less.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is something that you got to be a little careful with, but like if you
Scorned woman hot sauce.
yeah, and it's not that expensive.
No, it was like 7.99 or like less than that on Amazon. The link,
Yeah, I
by the
buy it
way.
in 6 packs for like $20.
So the links are with these on siptalkpodcast.com. My number one. So you have heard me talk about this in the past. I spent the last 2 years designing and fabricating, not personally, a board game called Crokinole. It's not my board game. I have branded this board game, Crokinole,
Like
and
you didn't invent the board
I did
game.
not exactly the company, the brand name. My company is called Mysify, Mysafy. And Mysify has a Crokinole board game. It's a really nice. Like I literally have one in my basement, hung on the wall, mounted on the wall, and it looks really cool. But it's also a really fun game to play. And anybody who plays it is like, oh, I don't know what this is. And then like by their second shot, they're like, oh, this is actually fun. And then everybody who plays one round is like, yeah, I want to play again. Like let me play
Because
again.
it's really simple to understand the goal and to pick up and play, but to play it well is hard.
Uh, the uh, the reason I started developing this board game is they sell for $399, $399, and $499 on most websites. Mine sells right now is on sale for the holidays at $225, which is a really good deal, and it's like very beautiful looking wooden board. So check it out. If you like board games, this needs to be your next purchase. And again, mine is almost $100 less than the next best one, and it's a good deal, and it's only going to be on sale until either we run out or after Christmas. All right, you're up.
All right, next one, the Wusthof Classic Chef's Knife. I've got a 6-inch. My brother has an 8-inch. They're both kind of like the go-to knives that we use. They just a really basic shape. It's just the conventional chef's knife shape, but it's really good metal. It holds an edge, and you can use
Wusthof
it for
are
practically anything.
Wusthof are good knives, and a chef's knife is the knife that basically everybody is using all the time for almost everything. It's, I mean,
It
it's
doesn't do anything poorly.
no, I mean, you could peel an apple with it. It would not be the best knife to do that with, but like theoretically you could. But the chef's knife, if you own one knife only, the chef's knife is the one to buy.
Right.
And Wusthof is a good brand. You'll have to sharpen it once every 9 months or something like that. But they're kind of the, what would you say, like Mercedes or Lexus of knives.
Yeah, there's two German brands that are both based in the same city of Solingen, Wusthof and Henkel's, and they're both excellent brands.
Solingen. I wonder if that means like metal generator
I don't know, but it's
maker
known as the
maker.
city of knives.
Hmm. All right. So next up on my list is, so the first year around, I made this crokinole board, and it was really cheap. I bought it in China. I didn't get any samples. I ordered 300 fucking boards, and I got really ripped off. I spent probably like 20 grand getting them made, and then I spent another like 12 grand getting them shipped to the U.S. And then from the U.S., from the port, I had to ship them to multiple Amazon warehouses. So I paid for that shipping, and then from the warehouse, every time somebody bought one, I had to pay for the shipping to them because I was on Amazon Prime. So I paid for the shipping. And then they were so shitty and the packaging was so poor that they broke. And then, of course, they got returned and I paid for the return shipping. And after a certain percentage of these got returned, I just pulled them all from the warehouse. Actually, James was a kind of major proponent, just being like, dude, it's bad for the brand. Just pull them from the warehouse. Finally, I pulled them, and then I paid for that shipping. So I sunk tens of thousands of dollars into crokinole. This year around, not only did I upgrade and get a much better crokinole board, I hedged my bets, and I got a super heavy-duty, solid wood, high-quality cornhole board. Now, the thing about crokinole, it's not as well known. Cornhole, everybody plays. This is the Mesify cornhole board. It's a super high quality, thick board that will last you a decade plus. Like if you go to Dick's or Target or Walmart and you buy a cornhole board next summer, it's going to last you one season. This board sells right now for $125 on Amazon or MesifyHome.com, and you will have this board, I promise you, for a decade. The design is really nice, and it's got the wood on the sides of it. Have little handles so you can carry them very easily. Comes with the bean bags. That's a great buy. And sorry to be kind of double promoting two different products, but I have spent roughly 2 years and invested a lot of money in these products. So check them out. It's good shit, I promise you. You're up next, James.
Yeah. All right. So the next two, I need you to open up the links because like you have to see these to understand why I picked them.
Well,
And
announce it. We'll look at it.
so it's two different model pool tables.
Oh,
One of them will run you $500,000.
all right. So
The other
for
doesn't
most
have
of
a
our,
price listed, but I think it's probably between like 60 and 80 grand.
so the Sinfonia billiard pool table is probably the coolest looking pool table. It looks like a living piece of wood.
Pull it
Um,
up.
yeah, I have it. I have it right here. I
Show it
can't.
to the
I,
peoples.
I can't do that. I only have one screen here, so I can't really do that. But if you go to SipTalkPodcast.com, it's literally the third link down on the holiday gift guide. It looks really cool. And then you got the Elite Innovations pool table.
Yeah, this is a glass pool table with a glass top. So no cloth on the table. And so like all the mechanics of it are like visible and like
So
yeah,
you
it's
see everything that's happening. So what happens is when your pool ball goes in one of the holes, one of the pockets, and then it kind of gets redirected underneath, you just kind of hope that it doesn't get stuck, and it almost always does, unless you're at like a beat up pool table in a bar. This one, I'm looking at it right now. You can see through everything. It's a badass looking. What does this sell for? Do you know?
They don't list prices on the website, but I think it's between like 60 and 80 grand.
Well,
They're not cheap.
we don't make any commission on these, so if you
Nope.
buy them, great. I don't
Um,
expect anyone to be
but
buying.
like the Sinfonia pool table is really just a piece of art.
Oh, by the way, if you buy the pool table, even though we're not making commission, it costs $500,000. So throw us like 10, 20 grand. Just you might as
Yeah,
well. Like we'll just
or at least let me come over and
donate it
play
to a
on it.
good cause. No, don't I don't want to plan it. Fuck that. Send me the money. So you got the two different pool tables.
Yep.
Can I move on next?
Yep.
Because it's I thought I was arranging these in a sequence that made sense to yours, but mine is the tumbler knife sharpener. Have you seen this?
I looked at the Amazon listing, and yeah, you go ahead and describe
It,
it, and then I'll
it's
explain a little bit.
it's a magnetic block that your knife sticks to that's at a slight angle, 15 or 20 degrees. There's two different angles, two sides of the block. And then it comes with a roller, which has a diamond kind of plated almost sandpaper on one side, and then another side that kind of takes off any burrs. And what you do is you roll the roller alongside the knife. And the thing about sharpening knives, if you have a regular knife block, is it takes a long time and you really have to pay attention to the angle that your hand is at. This one sets the angle for you. It's if you have a great skill at sharpening a knife with a knife sharpener, and then what's the leather? What do they call it? Leather
Strop.
strop, strop. That's going to do better than the tumbler. But for the everyman, the tumbler is a nice, cool knife sharpener. You have thoughts on this? You have an opinion on
I've
this?
got some decent knife sharpening tools here, but there is a technique to it that you have to learn, and it's not the easiest thing to pick up. It takes a lot of practice, and so like your idea of having like just a block that your knife mounts to that holds the edge the entire time takes all the guesswork out of it. You might not get quite as good a result as an expert doing it freehand,
Well,
but
I'd say I did it, and I realized I needed to do it literally for like 10 minutes to like get it down to the level that because I have not sharpened my knives in a couple of years. It took me at least 10 minutes to get it to a pretty reasonable, like where you can just hold up a piece of paper and slice the paper. But I will tell you because I've had some really sharp knives before. This is like roughly 80%. So if you're great at like perfecting your skills, and you have the time, go get a better knife sharpening set for roughly $100. This is cool. It's fun to use. I was doing it over Thanksgiving, and everybody was like, "Justin, you just sitting here sharpening knives is really creepy." It's like that one time we got in a fight with your younger brother, and then as like for whatever signaling, your brother decided to break out some knives and just sharpen them in front of us, like he was going to like kill us in our sleep or something. Um, but it was a little sinister. But they were giving me a hard time around Thanksgiving. The tumbler knife sharpener is cool. The link is on our siptalkpodcast.com holiday gift guide. All right, you're up next.
all right, next one, and this one's a repeat, but I'm still going to throw it out there, and we're staying on the pool topic. If you got anybody that likes to play pool, buy them a Q-Tech Avid Series pool cue.
So this would
Um,
be like the gift for Christmas. So the thing is about Christmas or
yeah, the
Hanukkah
two
or
pool
whatever.
tables that I recommended before, those are just like, hey, these look cool. You should check them out.
Yeah, we don't expect you to buy them. But I think the thing is with Christmas gifts, and I'm not Jewish, but I understand Hanukkah. Usually, what happens is you kind of get some smaller gifts. So you get one big one. A lot of times with Christmas, at least parents or significant others, they get you kind of some foddery gifts like stocking stuffer s gifts. But there's usually like one that they're like proud of to give. This
Yeah.
is a $370 pool cue. You're giving
Mm.
this to the person that I mean, this it says MSRP 369.
Oh
Maybe
yeah, you can find them for a little bit less.
but
Um,
well, the
like
link that we have,
250 to
great. All right,
300 is about what you should pay for
all
these.
right. So we gave you a lousy link here. Sorry,
Yeah,
folks.
but
Sorry.
um, the thing is, at the price point, you're not going to find a better pool cue. You can find better pool cues for 3 or 4 times the price, but at the 250 to $300 range, this thing is great. Um,
But
and
I think
so
I mean
anybody,
that's a reasonable like top gift for the year. I think
yeah.
$350 is a little higher than I'd like to spend most of the time, but it's a good level.
But yeah, if you got anybody in your life that likes to play pool that doesn't already have their own cue, this is a great gift for them.
All right. Now, Raj can correct me. God, I need to, by the way, got to remind you guys that Raj, I have it written down here. Raj Galeb is a co producer on this podcast. He is feeding us your comments live from Instagram and Facebook. And Raj will tell me if I'm pronouncing this correctly or not. Raj is a great cook, great pastry chef, great baker. The Le Creuset cooking pot. So this is a not Creuset. Well, he's typing Creuset or Creuset with an S or a Z, but it sounds the same when you read it. Either way, it's a Dutch oven pot. It's very heavy duty steel pot. The T is might. I don't even know what he's trying to tell us.
You
Is
know what?
mute.
You're probably saying it well enough for Americans to understand it. And the French are going to be mad, but you know what?
French are going to be mad. You know, I learned something recently that the French, when they had basically what is a stenographer, somebody that like writes stuff down or something, they were being paid by the letter to write things down, so they made their words a lot longer. Whereas in England or somewhere else, they were being paid by the word, so they tried to reduce the number of letters in the words. And this is like 1,500 years ago or something.
Oh, like people that took dictation?
Yeah, yeah. That's not that's stenographer. Although I don't know if that
Yeah,
has
but the
typing.
thing is, like, stenographers, they type in code.
Well, yeah. But long story short, this cooking pot, dude. Last weekend, I came home from work. I took a piece of like beef, and I turned the pot on like 80%, all right, on the stovetop, and I threw the beef in there. I browned it up on all four sides. I took it out, set it on a plate. Then I threw some onions in. I threw some garlic in, threw a little olive oil in, mixed it up, browned those. Then I threw some red wine and some beef stock in, and I threw some celery in there and some spices. Popped the beef back in there, put it in the oven for an hour and a half, and then I had carrots and potatoes. Pulled it out of the oven, threw the carrots and potatoes in there, cooked it for another 2 hours, and pulled it out. And the beef you could pull apart with your fork. The carrots and potatoes went in not from the beginning, so they weren't just mush and falling apart. And I had this beautiful pot roast. It was a red wine sauce, dude. It was so good.
Good
Uh,
winter meal.
and it like these winter meals. I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I've cooked in this pot. I wanted one for a long time. This is kind of like the premier one. You can get them. You can get one cheaper at like Home Goods or something. You probably buy one for like 30 or 40 bucks. These will usually run you a couple $100, but it is the premier. It's nice and thick. You can cook on the stovetop. You can cook in the oven. It's a great pot. The T is mute. He said Le Creuset, Creuset, Crusoe. I don't know. I don't speak French. All right, James, you're you're up next.
All right, next one, changing gears a little bit. This is a book that I had to read in college that I've been going back and rereading. The book's title is Stumbling on Happiness, and it's kind of in the pop psychology genre, but it's all about how it, the book describes all sorts of psychological biases that we have that show how poorly we are geared towards understanding what actually makes us happy, and all the various studies of people making choices thinking that they will make them happier in the future and those choices being wrong.
Yeah, I think the pursuit of happy. And I will actually probably get this book once we jump. I can't do it. All my screens are occupied. I have
It's
four
like 10
screens up
bucks,
already.
so
But I'll probably buy. But my guess would be that the pursuit of happiness does not lead to happiness. Is kind of the basic premise of the book.
it's not it's more complicated than that. It's that we have a really poor understanding of what will actually make us happy. And a lot of it has to do with like
Materialism.
how short-term thinking like we make long-term decisions based on short-term biases.
Hmm. So you know what would probably anybody who's listening or watching this, what will make you happy is buying everything on our list.
Especially that $500,000 pool table.
Yeah, you should live to purchase that pool table. If you can only afford half of it, then you know you're ready to buy it. Because if you can afford half that pool table, you could easily finance the rest, and then you're set. You'll be a happy guy.
But it was an interesting argument because I was having this discussion with my mother and one other person about my obstinance in regards to having children, and I was giving all of my reasons like I always do, and my mom was saying like you've read the book Stumbling on Happiness, like you're using all of these reasons as to why you don't think it'll make you happy, but like you're ignoring all the things that will make you happy. And I was like, that's just too much of a risk, man.
All right, let me hit in my next one. The Q-Sol tungsten dart. So last year I had asked for a dartboard for Christmas because I don't have a dartboard in the house. I want to get a pool table and a ping pong table, but right now that space in my basement near my bar is occupied by the gym. So
What brand dartboard did you
I
recommend?
don't I don't you could check it out. I took a random Amazon dartboard. So the
Okay,
Q-Sol
so
tungsten darts
can I
and a
weigh in
dartboard.
terms of the recommendation for
Well,
what brand dartboard people should buy?
fair enough. Just let me explain why these are on the list, and then you can redirect branding. But I wanted to have a dartboard. By the way, takes up no space. All right, it takes up as much space as a picture on the wall, which you don't even have posters on your wall, James. So
I do have a dartboard, but not in here.
the dartboard takes up no space. It's cool just because if you like the aesthetic, you can get some different dartboards with like a little kind of closeted setting, not just the circular dartboard that hangs on the wall. They look cool. You get this kind of nice wooden casing to it, and then it opens up. Mine has like some batteries and some lights in it, and it's cool. The dartboard that I got, I mean, I don't know much about dartboards. It serves its purpose for me. I think it costs roughly 90, $100. Um, but it looks cool. And then the darts that it came with were not the best darts. You recommended to me to buy some tungsten darts, which I did, and
Did you notice the difference?
I'm very bad at throwing anything, baseballs, footballs, darts. When I throw the darts that came with the dartboard and I throw these tungsten darts, the weighting is different. I can hit like within 3 inches of where I intend to hit almost every time when I'm like really kind of honing it in, paying attention with these tungsten darts. They're just weighted better. They're better darts. Okay, so you wanted to mention a type of so I just have a random dartboard on here that I think looks cool. You have a specific
Yeah,
style of
so
dartboard.
well, there's the brand that I bought is the one that I would recommend. Because a lot of cheaper dartboards, it'll be round metal wire that kind of frames the different areas of the dartboard, and like the cheaper dartboards will have like kind of thicker metal wire because it's cheaper. Um, and so the brand that I really like is Winmau, and their model is the Blade, and that's going to be like this really narrow and also pointed. So instead of being rounded,
It's like the
like
tip of
it's
edge of a knife.
pointed.
It's like the edge of a knife versus like a
Yes.
wire hanger.
So you
The
have
metal, hold
much
on,
more.
the metal on a just to illustrate in somebody's mind, the metal on a regular dartboard that kind of surrounds the dartboard is round like a wire hanger.
Right.
On this, the wiring is pointed like a knife. So when you
Yeah, it's
throw the dart
bladed
at it,
and it's
it's likely
inset.
to hit
It's not
one side or
stamped
the other.
on. It's actually inset into the dartboard. And it makes it so that you have a lot fewer bounce outs. And the other thing that is really important for high quality dartboards is you want a bristle board, not like a cardboard kind of a board. Because bristle boards will basically never wear out, whereas cardboard boards, like once you make a hole, like it gets looser there. So like a
Oh yeah,
Winmau blade, whatever. Like I've got the Blade 4. I think they're up to like 6 or 7 now. But like the Winmau blade is the best dartboard to buy.
I'd just like to announce that we're breaking into the Canadian Club. We're going to tag Canadian Club in this episode. Hopefully, they'll recognize us in the year 2025. All right, so darts and dartboard were on my list. You're next.
Yeah. So the next one I've got is just like a dumb little idea. Like this is a good stocking stuffer.
Stocking stuffer, yeah.
A double pendulum fidget spinner. So like the fidget spinners were huge. I don't know what 5 years ago.
Longer than that, yeah. I think they phased out. I feel like at this point.
Yeah, like they had their run, but this one is a double pendulum. So like it kind of swings chaotically.
Yeah,
And
no, but actually, the one that you sent, have you played with one, or you just found it and you want?
no, I just looked at it. I was like, that's cool. I might get one.
So it actually looks almost ergonomic. So you can kind of hold it and it will flip into your fingers and you can flip it back around. It
Yeah,
looks This the one that's on our link here on SipTalkPodcast.com is actually it looks really cool. They're cheap enough like anybody can just
it
buy
was
it.
like $15, $20.
Yeah, that like impulse buy, I think if it's less than $20 and it looks cool, you just buy it. If it's less than $40, like you
Think
think
about
about
it.
it, you think about it for a minute and still probably buy it. Over $40, you might throw it in your cart and come back to it later. But this is a good stocking stuffer. It's a cool listen, in the day and age of cell phones. So I was giving a meeting yesterday morning and I hope this guy's listening to it because I felt really bad. I had my second slide in the entire meeting was why you should take notes and how to take notes. but basically, like, take notes because in 2 months you're not going to remember any of this. In 2 years you're not going to remember any of this. You can barely remember what you did yesterday. You will want to reference this material in the future. You take a pen, you take paper, you touch them together, and you move them and make letters, and the letters make words. Like, that was slide number 2. And then like 7-8 minutes went by, and we were like I don't know, a bunch of slides later, I noticed one person in this meeting not taking notes, and also has been like kind of on the fence, like hemming and hawing. It's every day is like, I don't know if I should be doing this. All right, well, that's not the attitude to have. But I noticed that he or she had not written down a single letter, a single word throughout the whole thing. So at one point I was like, if you're going to be in this meeting, you need to be taking notes. If you're not going to start taking notes, I'm going to kick you out of here. And he stood up and left. But the point that I'm making is that he was not there to see that later in the meeting, another person in the meeting actually was like playing with their phone. I was like, dude, are you like playing social media? He's like, no, no, no. And then I looked at his phone. It was in my angle. And I was like, dude, are you on a phone call? And he's like, no, no. I'm like, no, you're on a phone call right now. He's like, oh, it's just some family stuff. I'm like, yeah, well, you're on the phone with your family. It's just because you have an earbud in, like, I don't know if the sound is coming out of your mouth, but either way, I can hear the conversation. It's really distracting for me and other people. Please leave. But point is that people get a little distracted. I would way rather have somebody playing with a fidget spinner in their hand than being on the phone or browsing social media or just dazing off. Right? Like, these fidget spinners are to satisfy that ADD in all of us. Sorry, that's
It's in the name.
yeah, fidget, exactly. All right, let's see. What do I have next? So I recommended a book. Tell me you read this book, The Coddling of the American Mind.
No, but I experienced it when I was a teacher.
Yeah, the book is basically about how the college experience from 2014 onward has really, basically, you can't, nobody can be offended. If somebody is offended, it is the offender's fault. And college campuses have become this place where before you even run the risk of offending someone, you have to let them know you run the risk of offending them. So it's like the age of microaggressions. Like, if I look at somebody and they're like, "Why'd you look at me like that?" It's because I'm Hispanic. It's like, "Wait, look at you like what?" I was just looking. Like, I wasn't even looking at you. I was looking kind of over. What are you talking about? And then they like go report you for harassment. You're like, I wasn't even looking. But the point is that it's the pendulum has swung kind of so far in the safe spaces realm that it's not we're building weak character of people who we're indoctrinating people into this sense that, like, you should never be offended. You should never be uncomfortable. If that happens to you, the other person is in the wrong. So, for example, the Aziz Ansari, where he went on a date and she was like, "Oh yeah, he tried to do this and this." Like,
And then you read his account. Actually, even if you just read her account
well,
purely,
half the people are going to side on her side, and these are going to be the people that were indoctrinated into
in this case, not so
you
much. I
shouldn't
think
feel
most people
uncomfortable.
read that account and were like, this is just kind of a bad, awkward date. We don't see anything that he did wrong here besides just being awkward, which is
But
also his brand.
but here's what happened: is that she felt a little uncomfortable, and she took the stance that he made me feel uncomfortable. He must be wrong. And he was like, no, it was kind of, everything was normal. You felt uncomfortable. I backed off. I was also embarrassed.
Right. Like,
End of story. But the point is that what we're saying is that college campuses, and what the book is saying, is that college campuses have been indoctrinating people into this only because the college campus, one, thinks it's best for the students, but also thinks it's best for the college. Because if you go to a college campus and you get offended or you get raped, for example, which is like the way worse than offensive, it's like the college could then be accused. So if the college makes safer spaces and educates the students not to offend other people, it makes the students safer, and it's safer for the college campus. So, but the book breaks it down. It's a really interesting book. Jonathan Haidt and he's got a co-writer, co-author. They have a couple of good books. In the middle of a second book um, right now. I forget the name of it, but they're good books. It's a really cool read, and it explains a lot of what's going on with politics right now. All right, you're up.
next one. The solo stove. Have you seen these?
I have not even clicked. So I wanted to be able to like comment on some of these live. This is one of the ones I did not check out because I'm curious. Does this cook anything, or it just
N-
is a big candle?
uh, Neither. Well, half of one, but not. It's not a big candle because, like, first of
Oh no,
all,
it's big. It's big. It's like 12 to 18 inches across.
yeah, I would not recommend you put this on in your house. Like, that's a formula for a really bad time. Um, so definitely use this outdoors. You can cook over it. Like they sell accessories to put like grills and stuff on top of it. But what's cool about this is if anybody has ever been around a campfire, they know that wherever they stand, smoke is going to blow their way. Right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing about campfires is like it's like smoking a cigar. Like I love smoking a cigar, but I hate smelling like a cigar. I love a bonfire, but I hate smelling like
Well,
bonfire.
and especially if you've got like a reasonably small, like not like a giant freaking bonfire, but if you've got like a moderate to small sized campfire, like wherever you stand blocks the wind and that makes the smoke go towards you. So
Mhm.
it's like it's hard to enjoy that. Whereas, so these smokeless fire pits, the way they're designed is they've got like air induction that basically brings air in to like reduce the smokiness of the fire and like so the fire basically burns without smoke at all, and it burns much cleaner, and it's
What fuels
self-enclosed
it? What fuels it? Actual sticks and stones?
wood.
Minus the stones? Wood? No,
Yeah,
like you could get like timber and whatever
yeah, yeah. It's
kindling.
just, but you just put the wood in there and you start it on fire, and like the way it's designed, it just like the fire brings air in an efficient way so that it burns really clean.
It's got the Dyson airflow technology built into it,
Pretty
effectively.
much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something where if you want to have like like a campfire out in your yard and just have a get together and you want to have a small fire in your yard as it gets later in the evening, this thing's great for it because it'll keep people warm. It's a fire, but
But
not
there's
you're
no
not going to
smoke.
smell like smoke.
Cool. I like it.
And
Um,
shout out to my accounting firm because they bought one for everybody in the firm.
you got one?
I will when I swing down to the firm on Monday because like their order was so big that like the shipments came in pieces,
Mm.
and so like I got a message from them like, yeah, we've got the rest of them in. I was like, all right, cool. I can't come in until Monday when I have a day off. So
So no, it sounds like a cool thing. It actually looks cool. My next one up on here is an immersion blender. So it's basically like a stick with a blender on the bottom. If you say, for example, you're like making a soup or something, or say you have this roast, you know what it would be really good for? What I like to do now that we're
disciplining your kids.
now that no, that would like just tear them up. Now that it's getting cool outside, I like to take that pot, right? The pot I told you about, the Le Creuset pot, and Raj mentioned these mostly feel like men's gifts. The pot is not a men's gift,
No,
but yeah, I mean we are
the pot
men.
is more of a women's gift than anything else. But also, these mostly feel like men's gifts. Who are we?
I mean, but that's my point. Is like some of these are are unisex, but also we're two dudes. We know our role. We're just telling you the things that we think are cool, the things that we would like. Actually, some of them we have. I don't have an immersion blender. I've been asking for one for the last 5 or 6 years. The cool
They're pretty
what's cool
cheap.
about it is, yeah, I mean they're like you can get a really good one for less than $100. You get a decent one for like 40 or 50 bucks. You
Yeah,
probably
it's
buy a
reasonable.
fully functional one for $30. So what I would like to do, and I've done this, but I don't have an immersion blender. I have to blend everything. Is you take a couple of tomatoes, you dice them up, you throw them on a skillet with a little olive oil, throw some onions on there, and then you let them just kind of brown and blister a little bit. And then you, what do you add? Some cream, and then you just kind of throw the immersion blender in there and blend it all up, and then you make tomato freaking soup. I might be missing an ingredient here or there, but that's because the Canadian Club whiskey here. But it's as simple as that.
You don't want to put Canadian Club whiskey in your tomato soup.
The thing about having the immersion, so if I throw that in a pot and I blister them all up on medium high heat, then I have to take that pot and take everything and put it in a regular blender and then blend it. And then the blender gets a million degrees, and then I got to throw it back into a pot or a pan or into a bowl. It's just really difficult to take something that's on medium high heat and put it in a blender and then like hold the blender cup and pour that into your bowl. It's just hot as hell. If you have an immersion blender, you can just throw everything in the pan, pop the immersion blender on it, bzzz, and then you just have a soup. So It's been on my list for a while. All right, you're up next, James.
Next, the board game Clask. So similar, like I actually got this because I like it was a cheaper version than like Crokinole, and I was like, I wanted like kind of a cool tabletop game. So it's kind of a mix, a little bit like air hockey, but
Oh.
the way it works is like you've got these magnetic pieces that you put one piece underneath, and then the piece that you control is on top of the board, and you control it underneath, and you're hitting a ball and you're trying to put it into like your opponent's goal. And so like you're not actually touching anything
So you
on
have
the
a
board.
magnet. You have a magnet piece underneath, and you're controlling a magnetic, basically like punter above,
Yep.
and you're trying to move a ball around. So
Yeah.
it's like soccer, but you're controlling the one player from
Yeah.
below.
Yeah. It's like between soccer and air hockey. But yeah,
Cyber air hockey and foosball, I feel like almost
yeah, that's a better comparison.
because it
But yeah,
almost
it's really
it
cool
feels
because
soccery.
like you can't even see your hand because it's underneath the board, so you're just moving, and like the piece moves with the magnet.
Oh,
Um,
they have it. So this is a rectangular game, but they have for two players. They have a four-player game that is circular.
oh, that's cool.
That's that. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's a unique it's a unique game. There's some notches on the board. I would recommend checking it out. And
It's
I mean
not that expensive. It's easy to pick up and
it's
play. There's no setup.
it looks nice also. So the thing is, if you're going to go and spend 60 or $100 on a board game, or $200, for example, in Mesified Crokinole, um, you're buying more than the game. You're buying like something that you can actually put. Like I got a marble chess. You can't see it. There's a marble chessboard over here. It looks nice, right? Like if I had just had a foldable kind of shitty cardboard chessboard, I wouldn't have it out here. But here it is because it looks nice. So this Clask and Crokinole look nice. So kind of two birds with one stone here. All right, I got mine next year. Let me close this Clask out. So I mentioned the immersion blender. And then next up, and listen, I'm like a sucker for kitchen products because I like cooking and I just like kind of cool technology. Before I hit this next one, James, we missed our bar trivia. Do you remember the bar trivia question from last week?
Not word for word, so you're gonna have to go ahead and read it.
All
But
right. The question
I
is,
once I read it, I got it right.
when is the beginning of the 21st century? Is it 11:59 p.m., December 31st, 1999, or 12 o'clock and 1 second a.m. on January 1st? And when that, I mean, I don't know why it's not. There's a 2 second difference on here.
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter for the question. The answer is neither. It is not at the end of 1999, the
Or
end
the beginning of 2000.
beginning of the 21st century, or the beginning of 2000. The beginning of the 21st century is actually January 1st, 2001. The 20th century ranged from 1901 to the last second, the last millisecond of the last second, the last minute of the last hour of 2000. And then the 21st century started January 1st, 2001. If that doesn't
All
make
right,
sense to you, just
we
Google it.
got 18 minutes, and we got a lot more to get through.
All right. So are you up next or I'm up next?
You're up next.
All right. So I mentioned the immersion blender. Um, I have to say another kitchen product that I've really wanted for a long time, and I have like probably three blenders in my house, um, is a food processor. So I've got a cool food processor on here. Again, it's like 40 or $50, but you can do a little bit more with a food processor than you can a blender. Food processors are typically a little wider and the blades aren't all at the very bottom. So you could throw an onion in there and chop an onion. Whereas if you threw an onion in a blender, you'd end up with like onion mush on the bottom and then
And juice.
big pieces of onion on the top. This, because the blades are a little higher up and it's wider, is going to give a more even cut to kind of the whole
They
stack.
serve two different purposes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a blender is you're pretty much turning everything into a frappe. So, and there's just because the blades are at the bottom
Yeah.
and it's more narrow. All right, go for it.
Real quick, I'm gonna get out of order since we're on kitchen products. I'm gonna talk
Okay.
about like get a sous vide machine.
I knew you were going to add that when you just mentioned in the kitchen product. So you want to explain what that does? because it's pretty
Sous
cool.
vide is you're cooking things in hot water, and like it's best for cooking meats, but there's tons of things that you can cook with. But the great thing about a sous vide machine is that you can control the temperature that you're cooking something at precisely down to like the tenth of a degree. And
So for example, use a steak for an example.
that's exactly what I was going to use. So like my brother was here 2 weeks ago, and we made sous vide steaks for Thanksgiving dinner, and like you just put them in a plastic bag that's sealed
So
because you don't want
you're
them
not
to.
boiling it. It's not getting
No,
wet. It's not getting diluted.
yeah, but you put like you lightly season the steak. So we just use salt and pepper, and then you just put it. You put it in a bag. You put it in the water. You set the temperature based on what kind of thing you're cooking, and there's plenty of reference materials out there to figure out what the temperature is. So we cooked it at like 130 degrees for maybe an hour and a half, and then like now you have a perfectly medium rare steak through and through. And then what you do, like for the steaks, what we did is we just dropped them in an ice bath for about 5 minutes. Again, still in the packet in the plastic. And then we threw them on a cast iron for about 2 minutes to get the sear on the
Get
top
them
and the
seared
bottom.
and brown. Yeah, I wonder if you
And
can do the sear first.
no, you don't want to do that.
Hmm, interesting, but I have never used a sous vide machine,
I'll
but
tell you, cooking with sous vide feels like cheating.
that's what I would. It takes an element away from the cooking, but if it's making the best steak that you're having, awesome. By the way, let me tell you something about steak. You said you put salt and pepper on the steak. If you want a great steak seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic, ground coriander, and a little rosemary, dude. Salt, pepper, ground coriander is like that's the secret ingredient in the McCormick steak rub. Do you know that?
Yeah.
It's
Real quick, I'm just going to hit two other, and these ones are going to be lightning fast. Get yourself an infrared thermometer. You just point it at things and shoot, and you get the temperature.
it's not
It's
going to
it's
tell you it's not going to tell you the internal temperature of a steak.
no, but like whatever the surface temperature of something is, like dude, I use it for cooking, but like if you ever have to do like repairs, like it's useful like if you're trying to repair something on a car to see like if something's getting too hot. If you have to like if you're ever wondering like whether your AC is running well, you can shoot the vents and see if like the air is actually coming out cold. Um, they're just really useful in a lot of ways that you wouldn't expect. And then the last one for kitchen stuff is Scrub Daddy sponges. You ever bought these?
First off, that's not the last one. You have some.
The last one for me.
You have a complimentary item on here to your Scrub Daddy.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
I heard Scrub Daddy actually, and that's why I was like, I don't know if I agree with it. Scrub Daddy are basically smiley face scrub brushes. It was on. I didn't know this. Somebody told me today when I was reviewing the list in my
It was on
office.
Shark Tank.
It was on Shark Tank, and it's just a sponge that's shaped like a smiley face.
No, but they're good. Like
They're good sponges that are.
no, they are like because they're like really coarse. They're not like the crappy coarse ones that you buy. Like I
You
bought
know
one
what?
for cooking. It was $5 to try it,
I
and
don't
now it's
want
like the only sponge I'll use.
I don't want a smiley face sponge for the same reason I wouldn't want a sofa cushion with a smiley face picture on it. I
I'm
want
gonna send you one, and then you're gonna say, "I'm sorry, James. You're right. These are actually great sponges."
I want a yellow sponge with a green Brillo pad in the back. I want them to be cheap as fuck. I want to use them for 2 weeks, throw
Yeah,
them in the garbage.
and they
Unless back in the day when I was really broke, then you throw them in the
microwave.
dishwasher. You throw them in the dishwasher. I guess you throw them in the microwave, whatever, to clean them up, and then you use them until they die. But what I want to do is I want to be able to throw that motherfucker away every 2 weeks and just.
No, man. You buy one of these, you're gonna realize how
These
you've just
sound
been shorting yourself, man.
they sound cheap, but they sound like expensive for sponges.
They are expensive for sponges, but you get what you pay for. They're great.
All
I
right,
wasn't convinced until I bought one.
so
You're up next.
no, you have to. I only have like one or two more.
Oh,
You have to give your complimentary item, which I hate.
oh, this one's great. It's the Homer Simpson sponge holder.
So first
So
off,
you're talking
this
about
sounds
the
like a
green Brillo pad?
yeah. This sounds like a Bed Bath and Body item. For the first part, like you go to Bed Bath and Body, and they're like, all right, no, whatever that department store is, um, Bed Bath and Beyond. You go to Bed Bath and Beyond, and you go in there, and they have like specialty soap. And you're like, oh, I've just been using normal soap. You go to the specialty soap, and they're like, oh, well, we have a soap holder. So if you're obviously, oh, you're like, oh shit, I don't have a soap holder. So well, I'll get a soap holder. I'll get the specialty soap, and then you're like, oh, well, there's a soap holder mount. I'm like, oh wait, I don't have if I'm getting a soap holder, I need to get the soap holder mount. Then you buy that, and then you're like, oh wait, there's a soap holder polish. Oh, now I need the soap holder polish because I didn't. So you're like they invent things that you never needed. And you're like, oh, I guess I do need it. So either way, so
No, this one's just
now you've
stupid
got a
because it's
sponge.
funny.
You've got a sponge holder, and describe the sponge holder.
It's a picture. It's Homer Simpson partially faded out. So if you've got like that green Brillo pad, it looks like Homer Simpson's like sinking into the hedge from the
So,
iconic scene
so
from one of the episodes of The Simpsons.
it's not the iconic scene from one of the episodes of The Simpsons. It's the iconic meme, which is a meme from an episode of one of The Simpsons where he fades into the bushes. So like you're just uncomfortable. You're like, oh shit, I was wrong. I'm out. Like I'm gonna slowly
Right.
disappear. But it's supposed to be. This is when you take that cheap sponge, you put it in there. It looks like he's fading into the sponge.
Yeah.
It's clever. I would not want it in my kitchen. My
It's just fun though.
it's cute. It's cute. Immersion blender, food processor. So this is a little stocking stuffer. I think it's like $6. Have you had the balsamic reduction glaze? You buy it in a little bottle. So what we like to do here is we get some mozzarella cheese, we get some tomatoes, we lay them on a plate, just kind of lay them across a plate, little salt, a little pepper, and then you take this balsamic reduction glaze, and it comes in like almost a little very fine squirt bottle, and you just go zzz, and dude, this stuff is phenomenal. It's like you will be rubbing the plate with your finger just to like you're rubbing it into your gums. Like, oh, this is good stuff. It's really good. I actually like I've had it before. I didn't think anything of it. I actually saw it in the grocery store, brought it home, like squirted it all over a plate, and like ate it with some cheese and bread. And and then my girlfriend was like, "Oh, we already have a bottle. Actually, I've been like using it. You didn't know we had it." I was like, "Dude, this is the best stuff ever. I didn't even know this existed." Uh, but it's cool. All right, you're up next.
Um, for reasons related to last week, the Nintendo store has a Luigi backpack.
So I so this Luigi backpack is a goofy looking cartoon Italian guy wearing green plumber
It's a
clothes.
Luigi character.
When you said Luigi, when I saw Luigi backpack, I thought you were talking about like an army green backpack that somebody who shoots the CEO of a major health insurance company is going to be carrying a concealed weapon in on his back,
No,
which is what happened last week. Um, is
no.
that where you got this reference or what?
Yeah, like Nintendo, the Nintendo store in New York City is like sold out of all their Luigi merch.
So, for those of you, maybe you're listening to this late or whatever, or you just don't follow the news. So last week, and we covered this in the last episode, there was a CEO of a major health insurance company, United Healthcare, something like that.
Yep.
He was gunned down in the street by a guy with a pistol with a silencer on it at 6:45 in the morning, entering his hotel. Now, since last week's podcast, they have captured somebody who was identified at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania, and his name is Luigi something with an M. I don't actually think he looks anything like the images that they have of this guy.
He's their suspect.
They seem to be leaning into this guy as their prime suspect. So I'm guessing they have like some cell phone data and some other information that we don't know about, and maybe the video that we had from the Starbucks camera of his face is just poor quality.
The justice system's going to play out, but basically, like everybody's kind of embracing like this person as even if he wasn't guilty, like they're just saying like, you know what, this is our mascot now. So,
Well, the people that hate insurance companies, yeah.
which is a lot of us.
Well, we all hate, but I don't know. You should not murder people, and it's bad. And shame on this guy. Go to hell.
All right.
But whatever.
All right. I'm going to run through the rest of these real quick.
I got my water pick flosser system. So it's basically like what your dentist has. It's a water jet that you can kind of shoot into your gums and into your teeth and in between your teeth, and it's cool. And
it's easier to use than flossing.
It probably feels better than floss, and it feels cool. It's on my list. I don't have one, but it looks cool. I've never used one.
They work well.
It would be something that I would just like to it would be cool to try. All right, you got yours next.
All right. Scratch the world map.
So there's like a big lottery ticket but you scratch off the places you've been to.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds cool. Rosh just sent us a sponge holder that is shaped like SpongeBob.
Yeah, the SpongeBob the SquarePants. That's similar to the Homer Simpson one. Like it's just kind of it's a funny gift.
By the way, if you check out my Misify crokinole board and cornhole board on Etsy, that's actually like my secret location where it's selling for way cheaper. I think it's selling for 179 bucks on Etsy.
Yeah. Let me race through a few
All
of
right, go
these.
ahead.
Real quick, Puma track jackets. I own a few of them. I love them. Like they're ultra weave jackets. Just feel great. Fit great. Next one, weighted blanket. I probably say this every year.
Oh,
I'll
we use
probably
this,
say it
yeah.
next year. Just buy a weighted blanket. They're great. Um, the Novium pen, like it's got a really cool holder where it like floats in midair.
Oh, you don't have to rush. We have more than enough time. We just got to.
Ooh, we
Yeah,
got 5 minutes.
yeah. We have 5 minutes. So is it magnetic? The holder for the pen? It's like it's a
Yeah,
fountain. It's a fountain pen with a magnetic holder, which looks
yeah,
badass.
yeah.
I would want a fog machine just to like sit next to this pen.
Oh, that
Actually,
would be cool.
that would be cool.
Another simple one. This is like a stocking stuffer. Is like everybody likes the like expensive metal bottles for their water or whatever else,
Mm.
and those things are a pain in the butt to clean. So like magnetic bottle scrubbers, where you put like the scrubber
Yeah.
has magnets in it, so you can scrub without having to like squeeze your hand through an impossibly small opening.
They make that for windows too. So like in New York City, you can wash the exterior window. It's kind of cool.
Um, let's see. Oh, this is
I,
a
I I think this
throwback.
is I think this is really cool. I want to get one this year.
The Airzuka.
So it's basically like a wide cannon where you like pull back almost like a slingshot, right?
Yeah,
And then you let go, but it's a wide kind of cannon, and what you pull back basically funnels this air forward, and it's almost like a because it stays within that channel.
yeah.
And
No,
you
it,
can like
it
light up, you can knock out candles and throw
from like
papers off at
30 feet
death
away.
like a long ways away. It's cool.
It's a
Um,
fun toy. You can like load smoke into it, and like you can see like the ring of smoke travel across the room. Um, I've heard stories of soldiers loading other payloads into it.
Yikes. I think so. Real quick, I want to hit this bar trivia question. If anybody has a holiday or Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, I don't know if Kwanzaa people give gifts. If you have any gifts you want to recommend, let us know. I'd love to include them, at least in the comments. I think that would be pretty cool. Let us know what gifts, the best things that you have gotten over the last year or two, or the best things that you're giving. And considering our listenership, whoever you're giving it to is probably not seeing this. So, um, so let us know what is a good gift for the year 2024 going into 2025. You missed this. You have one last thing on your list: the deny, delay, and defend book.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
Um, it's a book detailing all the strategies that health insurance companies use to steal money from you instead of paying your claim.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think the one benefit that may come from this, and it's sad because I just said it's bad. The guy getting murdered, but there may be a slight amount of healthcare reform. Um, I would not, I did not think this until just now, but I would not be surprised if there were other attempts on other healthcare CEOs, and I would not be surprised if there have been that are just not being publicized.
Well, just like I said last episode when you asked my opinion on this, I started with saying I don't condone murder, but to borrow a line from Chris Rock, I'm not saying he should have done it, but
All
I
right,
understand.
bar trivia question. We're going to run out of time. A popular attraction at the World's exhibition was sealed in a glass box containing $500,000 of American $1 bills. So $1 bills in total of $500,000, a half a million bucks. This is a fundraiser where for a $10 ticket, a person could guess how many bills the box contained. At the end of the exhibition, when the seal was broken and the bills were counted, there was only 470,000 bills. Sid Shady was responsible for enclosing the money. And when questioned, Sid said that he had personally counted each bill by hand. To be sure, and he added, I counted them twice by hand during the 2 days before the box was sealed. I could have been out by 80 or 90 bucks, but not 30 grand. Now, Shadow said Sid is lying. How can he be sure?
I know.
On that note, we're going to part ways. Well, thank you for joining our 2024 holiday gift guide. 500 grand in a glass box, and when they broke it open and counted it, there's only 470. And Sid Shady said that he personally counted each bill by hand. He did it twice in the 2 days leading up to them sealing it and putting it on display. That being said, visit SipTalkPodcast.com. Check out our holiday gift guide. There's some cool stuff on here. We have links to every product that we mentioned. You can also go to SipTalkPodcast.com and answer the bar trivia question. And if you're feeling generous, you can buy us our drink for the next episode. So I want to thank you guys for joining. We'll see you next time. Adios. All right, that concludes this holiday gift guide. Visit SipTalkPodcast.com. Give us a little gift, and thank you for coming.
Go ahead.
It's the lady at 46 South Rose. 46 South Rose.
Station 1 call, retone that please. 10-4. Got the floor to go to that location also. This is 19, is that correct?
Sorry, one last four?
Right, 185, 4 miles, and I'll retone There's a cop 185, 24 mile, station 1, there's a station 1 call, 85, 24 mile, station 1.